I still have a couple days left before my wife and kids get back. So I'm still searching YouTube to find what old movies are freely available on YouTube, and I stumbled upon this one from 1963. There are multiple copies of it available on YouTube, multiple copies of the full movie, which made me wonder, is this another movie in the public domain? And I checked Wikipedia, and sure enough, it is. Now, Wikipedia's got a rather interesting thing here where if you scroll down to the bottom of the article and go to public domain status, apparently they forgot to copyright this movie when it was released. They said all rights reserved, but they omitted the word copyright. And according to Wikipedia, before 1978, if you don't have the word copyright in the title, then it wasn't copyrighted. So apparently, it entered the public domain as soon as it was released. I find that a little bit hard to believe, but it does seem to be in the public domain now. Even Wikipedia hosts a copy up on their website under their Wiki Commons project. So multiple copies on YouTube. It is apparently in the public domain, and you can watch it guilt-free if you're worried about that kind of thing. So the movie stars Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, in addition to a number of other famous people who I'll get to in a moment. But I had just last week watched another Cary Grant movie, His Girl Friday, and enjoyed it immensely, and also enjoyed Cary Grant's movie star persona. So I was keyed up to watch another Cary Grant movie. Now, this one is His Girl Friday was from 1940. This one is from 1963. So Cary Grant has a bit more gray hair in this one, although he still looks remarkably good for his age. I was watching this movie and I was assuming he was somewhere in his mid to late 40s. And then I checked Wikipedia after I finished it, and he was 59 at the time of filming. So, you know, I mean, I know movie stars, they have all this makeup and stuff like that, but still, remarkably good shape for a man his age in this movie. He is playing the romantic lead against Audrey Hepburn, who is much younger than him. According to Wikipedia, again, 25 years younger. She is 33. So I know big age gaps between the male and female lead are nothing new, or I guess in this case, nothing old in Hollywood. Or I guess this is an indication that it is very old in Hollywood, is what I mean to say. According to Wikipedia, again, Cary Grant did feel self-conscious about this and asked for several lines to be written into the script acknowledging their age differences. And sure enough, there are several lines like that in the movie. So, yeah, the movie doesn't try and hide it, but still, it is... at the end of the movie, well, I don't want to spoil anything by talking about the end of the movie, but it does make you wonder where this relationship is going with that big of an age difference. Although, to be fair, 59 is the age of the actor. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the age of the character. Like I said, I think he could arguably be past for his mid to late 40s in this movie. So maybe that's what the character is supposed to be representing. Anyway, moving on. I'm referencing Wikipedia a lot, but I should emphasize I didn't read the Wikipedia page before watching this movie. I just checked the Wikipedia page briefly to see if this movie would be worth watching. I saw that it had a decent write-up, and right in the first little section, they said this has been called the best Hitchcock movie Hitchcock never made. The best Hitchcock movie Hitchcock never made. Now that, having seen the movie, I think that's overpraising it a little bit. I don't think this is as tight as Hitchcock's movies, but it's in the same ballpark, kind of the same genre, a suspense movie with a few different twists and turns. Now, because this is a suspense movie with a few different twists and turns, you don't want to know a lot going into it. So I didn't read any more of the Wikipedia page at that time, and I just watched the movie. Yeah, my advice to anyone who's considering watching this movie is avoid spoilers. And I am actually, for once, going to try to do a spoiler-free review. So I'm going to talk about everything except the plot details here. Um, right. So this is a combination of mystery, suspense, uh, romance, and comedy movie, with different parts of these coming to the fore at different times. Uh, it's when I first started watching it, I wasn't sure I was going to like it. In fact, I almost stopped watching it because I thought I'm not enjoying this. What's the point? Uh, they're the characters were in kind of a bizarre situation, and I'll mention this because this is just the opening like 5 minutes of the movie. Audrey Hepburn is married to a man she doesn't know much about, who all of a sudden turns up dead. And there's an investigation into his death in which Audrey Hepburn just doesn't know anything at all about her husband. Doesn't know who his friends are, what he does for a job. And I thought, okay, this is a little bit far fetched. She's got to know something about it. Even, I guess, to be fair to the movie, though, this is part of the joke. Like, they are making a repeated joke about how she doesn't know anything. The characters are making quips back and forth to each other in a kind of a dry, sardonic way that didn't really grab me at first. Added to the fact that in some scenes, I think some scenes play a little bit like they're dubbed over. The audio just seems a little bit off. Not all of the scenes, but some of them, particularly at the beginning. Um, but as I kept watching the movie, I got into it more and more. Eventually, you do kind of come around to the characters. I came around to their dry quips about halfway through. It's a little bit cheesy. Maybe the humor is not really today's style of humor, but I got used to it. The movie has, like I said, in addition to Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, a lot of other famous people in it. Some of whom I recognized. I should say that I rate myself as kind of middling on older movies. I know some of the famous actors, but not all of them. But among the ones I've recognized were James Coburn, who's playing a character goes by the name of Tex, and he's doing his laconic cowboy thing, which is how I associate James Coburn. George Kennedy, who's I remember him from kind of playing like the comic relief in movies like Cool Hand Luke, but here he's playing an interesting character. He's playing the big ugly, like the big ugly heavy character who's got to be contended against. It's also got Walter Matthau in it. How do you pronounce that? Matthau? Walter Matthau. Who I saw his name during the opening credits. Then I completely forgot he was in this movie until I checked Wikipedia at the end of it. I guess I'm just used to the older Walter Matthau, who I remember from movies like Grumpy Old Men. Even though I have seen a handful of movies with the younger Walter Matthau, I saw The Odd Couple years and years ago. But I didn't recognize him at all in this movie. But then once I realized which character he was playing, I thought, okay, yep. The plot, without spoiling anything, it just has so many twists and turns in it. And fairly early on in the movie, you realize that that's the gimmick. The gimmick is that every 20 minutes, there's a new twist where all of a sudden all the characters you thought you knew, they aren't who you actually think they are anymore. And at various points in the movie, you suspect everyone of being the bad guy because there's some sort of murderer, but you don't know who it is. And most of the twists make somewhat sense. I think maybe there's a couple near the end which are stretching things a little bit. But for the most part, I think the twist makes sense. It would be interesting to rewatch the movie, see if they all make sense on the rewatch. Um, I mentioned before that this has been called the best Hitchcock movie Hitchcock never made. Cary Grant actually collaborated in a bunch of Hitchcock movies, including North by Northwest, which, when did North by Northwest come out? Round about the same time as this. Sorry, I'm just going over to Wikipedia. 1959. Okay, so 4 years ahead of this. Now, North by Northwest is another movie I'm long overdue to rewatch. I haven't seen that since I was in college. But one of the things I do remember about that movie is I remember getting frustrated that the bad guys are built up to be like these really evil bad guys, but they never seem to just kill Cary Grant's character when they have the chance. They always have like these half-baked schemes to murder him with all these different contraptions, like the plane bearing down on him, and you think if these bad guys were serious, they'd just shoot him in the back of the head first chance they get instead of coming up with all these harebrained schemes. I know it's a classic movie, and I'm a Philistine. I need to rewatch it at some point. I mention that because I have kind of a similar feeling about this movie, Charade, where the bad guys are built up to be these really ruthless characters, but they never seem to do anything all that ruthless. They have plenty. They make a lot of threats, and they've got plenty of opportunities to do stuff. But for the most part, they threaten Audrey Hepburn's character, but never seem to actually do anything to her. That being said, it bugged me a little bit, but I learned fairly early on in the movie to just let it go. It's one of these movies where the bad guys are going to be more threatening than action, and fair enough. It's a movie. In real life, they'd probably be, if they were as bad as the movie builds them up to be, they'd be sadistic torturers, and I'm sure they'd do all sorts of horrible things. But who wants to see that, huh? It's a movie. You're living in a little bit of a movie world here. So all right. Yeah. Anything else I want to say about this? I think that's it. I took me a little bit to warm up to this movie, but I really enjoyed it. Some decent suspense scenes at the end. Some good twists on the plot. I warmed up to the humor about the halfway point, or maybe about a third of the way into the movie, and it even got a couple of chuckles out of me as it went on. So yeah, I'd recommend this one if you're looking for a free movie to watch off of YouTube, and I'll link to it in the description down below.